when I was younger and I was facing, I don't like to always use the word bullying, because to me, when I think of the people who maybe said unkind words to me, they were probably going through something too. And so now I can see that. Then I couldn't. And so you do go through an evolution of, you don't have really strong mental health when you're young and you're facing these unkind things in the world. But with a good family, you can get through it. And then as I started growing older and I started being able to rationalize what people were doing, and I met some really good people, and I did the work on myself, which is you don't need approval from other people. You don't need other people to like you. The person that needs to like you is you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flourishing Podcast, where I'm so excited to have with me here today, not only a good friend, but also a human being who's making an amazing impact in the world around you. And this is Donna Oberg. And so welcome, Donna. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thanks.
You're looking
glad to
good.
Be here.
I'm glad that you're here.
I clean up okay.
You clean up very, very nicely. So thanks for that. And Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, we're shooting this in the early part of January. So it's the first time I've seen you all year. So you're looking very good. So,
thank you. So are you?
Hey, thank you so much. So let me just tell you folks, based on her bio, a little bit about Donna. Donna Oberg is a best-selling author. She's a certified flourishing coach, and she's a nutrition coach. She is a disability advocate and a former finance leader in a large multinational company. She's the founder of Moving Mountains Consulting Limited in Calgary, Alberta, which is where we are right now. Whether working with individuals or teams, Donna is known for creating safe environments where people can share their vulnerability, make mistakes, learn from them, and grow. Her passion is helping people find their true gifts and leveraging those strengths in their personal and professional lives. Donna wants you to know that you are stronger than you think, and with a flourishing mindset, you can move mountains. Donna also believes in the power of laughter and maintaining humor, especially during hard times. It's a great way to raise people's and teams' energy and motivation. In her corporate career, Donna was tapped by executive leaders to become both a resilience and diversity and inclusion champion, which is great. Donna assumed these roles with pride and authenticity, using many of her experiences as a person with cerebral palsy to inspire others in their resilience journey. She earned a BA specializing in economics and a BCom in accounting at the University of Alberta. Hey.
I did.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to see you. So I love, Donna, your bio, because it really does a nice job of at least what I know about you. For people who don't know or understand much about cerebral palsy, can you let us know about that just a little bit, just to kind of get that off the table?
Yeah, so it's non-progressive, at least for me, it's non-progressive, although I have noticed that aging is making it impact a little bit more. It has affected my left side. So my full left side is less mobile than my right side. So I walk with a limp, a pronounced limp, and falling is just a part of my life. So, yeah.
And you mean by that physically falling down? Physically
falling, but yeah. I've done both physical and literal falls, as I'm sure we'll talk about as we go along here. But yeah, I do fall a lot.
Love that. Love that, not that you fall, but just that you talk about it and how you talk about it. I mean, actually, I have a copy of your book right here. Donna's book is called The Art of Falling. And so you're a best-selling author. So tell us about this book.
Yeah, so it's so funny because I didn't plan on it being about falling per se. It just started happening when I put together my mind map for it.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about resilience. I wanted to talk about strength. And then as I was working through it, I was realizing, you know what? Every time I've fallen, I've learned a lesson.
Okay.
And so it just, chapter after chapter, it's about resilience, grit. It's about perspective. It's about the laughter, because of course, as you mentioned, laughter is huge.
Yes.
Part of my ability to maintain a positive attitude and gratitude, to be honest. So yeah, it just kind of happened as I was putting together topics that I wanted to talk about.
It's great. And I want to come back to this, everybody. And so please do stay tuned for that. So, because I want to explore that more. I love a lot about this book so much. I have a copy of it. And, but, you know, so tell us your story. I mean, I read your bio, but just tell us a little bit about your story, because that, I mean, we're starting to feel a little bit of your heart, but let us know about you.
So I'm the youngest child of 6 in a middle-class family. Mom was a homemaker. Dad worked on the railway. And they found out I had cerebral palsy at 6 months.
Okay.
So they didn't know if I was going to be able to walk or talk. Back then, there wasn't a lot of awareness of what cerebral palsy was going to mean for people. And, well, as you can see, I do talk, sometimes too much. But I do walk, and as we've mentioned, with a bit of a limp. My parents always encouraged me to try things that I wanted to do.
Awesome.
Even if that meant falling and getting bruised up a little bit. They were there to always put the Band-Aid on, but they allowed me to fall.
Okay.
And so I think that early on helped me to get a resilience mindset.
Okay.
A resilient mindset. And so I'm really happy for that. At about the age of 15, I'd heard my dad talking to, I don't know who it was, but I assume it was someone in the government about, well, what kind of future will she have? What kind of job could she have? And it was then that I realized it's going to be up to me to make sure that my parents have peace of mind, right? So that they don't have to worry. And so from then on, it was kind of like, what do I want to do?
Okay.
And
how old were you then?
I was 15.
About 15.
When I heard that conversation. So I was hiding on a stairwell.
Okay.
Listening to my dad have this conversation.
Good things can come from eavesdropping. Let's be honest, right?
And he never knew that I had done that. So, but I knew that it was going to be up to me, and I did not want to become anybody's problem.
Wow. Okay.
And so it encouraged me to actually go to university. I initially didn't know what I wanted to do, to be honest. I just knew I wanted a university degree, so I got in. Then I fell into economics, so I finished that degree. And then I went into accounting, because that was going to, in my mind, get me the financial security that I was looking for.
Okay.
And it was from that degree that I was hired on for finance job. Actually, it was more, I would say, a more low-level credit job at an oil and gas company called Shell. Okay. And I worked for them for 25 years.
25 years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you said something that really inspired me, actually, because you said I didn't want to be somebody else's problem. And yet, you know, you've been the solution to so many, you know, and I think that's because of that mindset you took on. That's just my opinion. But how do you then get from doing a finance career with a major company for 25 years, that's a long time, to now you're an author, you're a coach, I know you facilitate. What was that journey like for you? So throughout my career at Shell, I mean, there was always times when it wasn't sure as to whether or not the career was going to stick, because they do reorgs. Well, every company does reorgs. There's change. Yep. And in 2011, which is when you and I met, I was at a stage where possibly I was going to lose my job through a reorg. So I thought, well, what would I like to do if I didn't have this job at Shell? And one of the things I really enjoyed was helping people work through their problems. And so a friend of mine, actually, who had signed up for your life coaching course, encouraged me to join the course. And so I did. Subsequently,
I actually got another job at Shell and spent quite a few more years. But that piece where I always enjoyed mentoring people and talking to people and helping them never went away throughout my leadership roles at Shell. And so when I got an opportunity to leave, I did that. Okay. And that's that story. That's okay. Yeah.
And then and while you're at Shell, you had been a resilience and a diversity and inclusion champion. And so tell us a little bit about those roles.
Yeah, so they were outside of my official role, but I think senior leaders saw in me the resilience that we've talked about, the grit, and the ability to connect with people.
Okay.
And they also, I think, understood that what better way to encourage other people to be resilient than to have the story of somebody who's been through some things that required resilience, required grit, and who had the passion to talk to people about it. So we created these teams of people who were passionate about resilience, and we would go out and we would do presentations at town halls and just try to create a wave of that throughout the organization.
Okay. And how did that go? Like, how did you feel the impact was?
I think, it's hard to tell exactly how big of an impact that was, but I can tell you that there were individual moments where I had people come to me and say, your story inspires me, right? And I get uncomfortable when people use the word inspire around me, about me,
right?
But if that happened, then I was happy.
Okay.
I was happy. So then you're also a diversity and inclusion champion. So tell us a little bit about that, because those are pretty hot buzzwords today and important words. But what was your role and your experience there? Yeah, so I was tapped to actually join an employee network called Enable Network. So that was the disability network. And so we would create opportunities and moments for people where we would bring in organizations that support people with disabilities. And that included physical and non-physical or non-visible disabilities. And we'd bring them in and tell their story. So it wasn't just about us. And we had a lot of success in that.
Awesome.
Particularly when we dealt with the mental health part of it.
Okay.
And I felt that my story was told quite a bit at Shell. And so I had raised the exposure of the physical disability. I really pushed for the mental health part of it as well.
Right.
When I was at Shell, because you could tell that was more pervasive at Shell. But it was also important for me to encourage leaders to ensure that there was representation at Shell of people with disabilities. So we pushed and we worked with people to self-identify so that we could do that.
So and thanks for sharing that. How much of a, like just in your view, like how much of a linkage would there be? And I'm not meaning like a direct biological linkage, but what I mean is more like when a person finds themselves with physical disabilities, I can only imagine, and I could be completely wrong, that their mental health has to be a part of having the capacity to I don't know if the word is manage that or live a thriving life through that. Like, because it's, certain things that some of us, like myself, take for granted. Like I don't have to think about walking a flight of stairs or anything like that. But I can only imagine the amount of extra mental, maybe fitness is the better word, that is needed just to do what often we would just think are normal tasks. But you're the expert far more than me, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. So it's been an evolution. Okay. To be honest, because when I was younger and I was facing, I would say, I don't like to always use the word bullying, because
to me, when I think of the people who maybe said unkind words to me, they were probably going through something too, right? And so now I can see that. Then I couldn't. And so you do go through an evolution of, you don't have really strong mental health when you're young and you're facing these unkind things in the world. Yeah. But with a good family, you can get through it. And then as I started growing older and I started being able to rationalize what people were doing, and I met some really good people, and I did the work on myself, which is you don't need approval from other people. You don't need other people to like you. The person that needs to like you is you.
Right on. Yeah.
And so I wrote a chapter in here about forgiveness.
Okay.
And forgiving the people who, I think weren't so kind. But one of the people that was probably the most unkind to me as I was a child was me.
Okay.
And so I knew I had to forgive myself. And when I was able to forgive myself for that, I was able to turn the corner in my own mental health struggles with regards to, am I good enough? Am I worthy? I still have moments every now and then. You can't be human and not have some of those moments.
Right.
And they're uncomfortable. But as we both know as coaches, you got to sit in the uncomfortable once in a while in order to get yourself through it. And so I just push through it with gratitude.
That's great. So do you mind telling us, going a little deeper, like how would the unkindness towards yourself show up for you, as much as you're comfortable to share?
Unkind thoughts.
Okay.
Right? And also wondering, what am I doing here?
Okay.
Should I be here? Mm-hmm. So I had those thoughts as well. Yeah. But I think what probably kept me from going too deep into it was my mother.
Okay.
And her unwillingness for me to sit in that too long.
Okay.
When I had a car accident that, I wasn't driving, but I was hit and broke my femur at the knee. And I was in a wheelchair for 2 months, 3 months actually. And we weren't sure I was going to be able to walk again. And I was well into my 30s at that time. And my mom, who was in her 70s, came to live with me while I was recovering. And I remember one day coming back from the doctors, and they said, well, we're not sure you're going to walk again. And I was deep in depression that day. And my mom could see it. She let me sit in it for a while. And then she put the walker in front of me, and she said, get up.
Wow.
And I said, I can't. You heard them. I can't. And she said, get up. And I said one more time, I said, I can't.
Wow.
And she put the walker even closer, and she said, you're going to get up now. Wow. And she made me take my first 5 steps that day.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah.
And your parents, like just listening to you, they've had a big positive impact on your life, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. So my mom, she's 97. She turned 97 in December. And she's still going to Aquasize 3 days a week. She closes all her Apple Watch exercise rings every day.
Wow.
She's got a very resilient, gritty, determined mindset. So if I had that, it's because I didn't fall far from the tree. That fall was a good one because that was right underneath the tree.
That was perfect. Perfect falling.
Yeah, perfect falling. And my dad was, he went through a lot as well. So, and he fought in World War II. So just seeing his absolute survival skills and his willingness to help anyone, and even if it meant giving them the shirt off his back, he would do it. And so I think, yeah, I was lucky.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some 27-year-olds who don't close all the rings on their Apple Watch every day. So kudos to your mom.
Yeah.
So I love this book. I've read it. I ordered it. It's Lessons from a Lifetime of Trips, Slips, and Face Plants. Love that. What a great subtitle. So tell us, like, what happened with this book in terms of some of the lessons that you wanted to share, and you know, what are a couple of things you'd like to share with the audience today?
I think the chapter I'm most proud of was the one on forgiveness, because it made me be the most creative, because I did it as a forgiveness cafe. So we had a menu of different things that you could do.
Nice.
But also to just talk about, because I think people sometimes think, well, they're being mean to me. This situation, I feel like it's happening to me and only me.
Right.
And if it weren't for just these people, I would be able to succeed and be whoever I want to be. Well, one of the people that you need to really talk to is yourself. And I think that I'm really proud of, about being able to show that vulnerability and admit that I was the one getting in my way.
Yeah.
And the big thing that I want to share with people is, well, I do believe that you're stronger than you think you are, because imagine all the things that you've already gone through, that you've gotten through. And this, what you might be in now, is just one more thing, and you're going to be able to get through it. But sometimes you can't get through it alone.
Okay.
And my chapter on look for the helpers.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's so important, because it was a huge lesson for me, because early on when I would fall, I would, like, I didn't want anyone to see, and I didn't want anyone to help me. And it was just, it was a painful experience, because I knew that it was making other people uncomfortable. And now I'm just kind of like, okay, I can't do this alone anymore, because I'm getting older and it's harder to get up. And I'm going to need help. And so now I look for the helpers. I not only look for the helpers, I invite them in. And so that's another really important thing that I want people to do, if they can, is to invite the helpers in.
Okay. I love that. I mean, both of those, you know, the concept of forgiveness is so important. I like how you describe or delineate it between the self-forgiveness, but also the forgiveness of others, and then the inviting help. And I think there's a linkage, right? If you're walking around with too much bitterness, you're probably going to push people away, you know, that maybe could be a part of your helping package, you know. And so right now, you know, what does your day-to-day look like? What are you up to? Tell us about that.
Well, right now I am preparing to actually co-facilitate the career coaching course with the wonderful Cynthia.
Yeah, awesome.
So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be next week on January 12th and 13th.
Nice.
I'm creating a one-day workshop based on an article I wrote for Brains magazine called Going from Crazy Busy to Unapologetically Unbusy. And I'm really excited about that too, because we're going to have a guest shamanic drummer.
Nice.
And I think people are going to get a lot out of that. We're going to reimagine their calendars and teach people how to say no.
Okay.
And work their calendars not only from a time and priority piece, but also from an energy management piece.
Love it.
And then you and I
absolutely
are going to co-facilitate the workplace flourishing.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a bunch of certifications, and Donna is going to facilitate and co-facilitate some of those. So, yeah, as she mentioned, with Cynthia Chow Hong, who is our very awesome Director of Client Experience, and they're going to be doing one on career coaching. And then what Donna's referring to is workplace, and it's really a workplace culture certification. So, you know, there's lots of champions in workplaces on, like we've already said, you know, resilience, diversity, inclusion, people in HR, people not necessarily in HR, maybe they're in finance, but they care about the people within the organization. And so what we do in that training is really hone in and teach on supporting the shift in the culture. And, creating a culture that supports psychological safety and diversity and inclusion, because it can't just be, hey, let's do a little diversity month. Like, you actually need to shift culture. And it's so important.
It's true. And I think diversity and inclusion is everybody's responsibility. So when I advocate for it, I also do a check on myself to make sure I'm doing everything I can to move it forward. But one thing I do want to also encourage people to do is to not just look for the things that we need to do better, but to look for the things we've already done well. Because I think sometimes we forget how far we've come. And for a person with a disability who was born in, and I don't mind saying 1968, when accessibility was not that great, I see huge strides.
Yes.
And I see huge benefits to the people with disabilities and how we can get out there and have full lives.
I love that.
But we have a ways to go.
We still have a long ways to go.
Yeah.
Actually, even our own building here. It's so nice that Donna's here because it's not the most accessible facility. So thank you.
No problem. Yeah. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and then you also alluded that we'll co-facilitate also our leadership coach training. So we train people to be leadership coaches, and so we're really honored that Donna would join us for that because she has so much to offer in that area. So how can people get a copy of your book, Donna?
It's online. So Amazon has it, Indigo has it, Barnes and Noble has it. So yeah, it's online.
Love it.
In several places.
So just go to wherever you get your books, it sounds like, and people can get a hard copy, but they could, I'm assuming, there's an
Kindle,
audio version or Kindle or something
I
like
don't
that?
have an audio version yet.
Not yet.
But I thought about it, so you never know.
Hey, that's good too. I always ask that question because even my own books, I don't have audio version yet. And I'm like, man, people hear me talk all the time, so they don't need more of my voice. But apparently people want it. So I'm sure you'll get it too. And then
so we can listen to you while we're on the treadmill.
Yeah, I know, right? A little more difficulty. And then your website is dmovingmountainsconsulting.com. dmovingmountainsconsulting.com. So
a mouthful.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it's hard to find the domain names today, right? Like, 15 years ago it was a little easier. Now it's a lot more crowded online real estate. And so Donna, with your workshop that you're doing, going from crazy busy to unapologetically busy, which is brilliant, by the way, if a person wanted to get involved in that, would the information be on your website or?
It's not on my website yet, but I do have it on my LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
So feel free to go to my LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
And you'll see the information there.
Love it. So Donna Oberg, and on LinkedIn, I'm assuming it's okay for people to reach out and connect to you there?
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
More the merrier. So, of course, we'll put her bio and info in the notes for the podcast today. But it's Donna, Donna, and then Oberg, Oberg. So, Donna, any final thoughts for people? I'm just so grateful for you coming and sharing today. I know I've already gotten a lot out of it, but I'd love to hear your heart. Anything else you'd like to share for the folks watching or listening?
Like I said before, I think what's important for me is to have people understand that when you're part of a community and you have people out there who are cheering for you or who want to be your support structure, don't be afraid to do that. I think it's so important, and you can reach out to people like Abe and get his wisdom,
or people like Donna
on his podcast and in the courses. Come and get certified, but also you're also doing the classes where you're not certifying people, but you're doing life coaching and all of that. So
yep.
I absolutely encourage people to reach out, get a coach, reach out, get a mentor.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be able to flourish when you have that support structure around you. And remember, you're stronger than you think.
Yeah, love that. It's so powerful. You are stronger than you think. And I think your story shows the power of support and starting with your parents, but then of course, now evolving into where you are. So folks, you know, if nothing else, can I just encourage you? Of course, I don't get anything for this, but I would love for you to pick this up. It really is a good book. It's well written. It is, you know, she kind of writes down, find a beverage and, you know, maybe a nice blanket. And, you know, it's probably something you could read in about 3 or 4 hours.
Yes.
It's not meant to be some academic, you know, crazy loaded book, but it's got a ton of lessons. And you know what? We've all fallen, you know, I've fallen myself in every area, and there's nobody better to help you figure out, you know, how to not resent your falls or hate yourself for your falls, but to learn from them and to grow, and how to continue to fall forward, if you want to use that term, than Donna. And so please do check her out at dmovingmountainsconsulting.com. And thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And we hope that you will rate and review this podcast very well. Please give us a 5-star review, follow us and subscribe. And please do follow this awesome, amazing human being, Donna Oberg. Thanks, everybody.